Alright, the Texans take on the Tennessee Titans for the second time in 3 weeks. And honestly, I really didn't feel like making another prediction video for a team, for a game that we pretty much already played 2 weeks ago. And I just didn't feel like making a video on a game that could very likely be a meaningless game. A game that could essentially be a fifth preseason game. Because if KC beats the Chargers, then the Texans, they don't need to win this game at all. They would be locked into the fourth seed. So I really didn't feel like making a prediction video, especially considering that the Texans could be resting starters and stuff. And, I wouldn't really be able to predict what the Texans are going to do based on that. And, in my opinion, the Texans were really, really blessed. Blessed because after last week's games, I think it was after the Sunday games, they, flexed the Texans-Titans game. It was originally going to be at 12 p.m. Central Time, but they changed it to 3 p.m. Central Time. So the Texans were blessed in that regard because the Chargers and Kansas City game, that game stayed at the 12 p.m. time slot, meaning if the game would have stayed at 12 p.m., the original time, then that means the Texans would have no idea if, they should be playing to win or, just resting starters. But since they flexed the game, now it gives the Texans an opportunity to, watch that KC Chargers game. And if KC wins, then the Texans know that they have absolutely nothing to play for and they can just play their backups. But if KC loses, then the Texans know, hey, let's go get this win. Let's go beat Tennessee because we're better than them and get this third seed. So the Texans really, they got blessed by the flex schedule, in my opinion. Now, obviously, comes the question. Should the Texans play their starters or rest them? I feel like the Texans fan base is kind of divided, and honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards resting starters regardless of the outcome of the KC game, because I think health is more important going into the playoffs. And that's just my opinion. I mean, you're free to have your own opinion because there's definitely some good arguments for, playing your starters, but everything comes with a risk, and that's why I'm making this video. So first, we're going to go over the pros and cons of playing your starters. And in this scenario, in both of these scenarios, I'm going with KC losing, Going with KC loses to the Chargers. So here are the pros to playing the starters, in my opinion. The players are ready for, the wild card game. Meaning they don't get a week off. They play their game and they're ready to go next week because, they're fresh off a game against Tennessee in what essentially is a playoff game for them, because if Tennessee wins, they're in. So, Tennessee is going to go all out on the Texans because this game for the Titans is a playoff game. Winning, they're in, like I said. So the Texans would really get a little bit of a playoff taste playing a high-intensity Tennessee team. So it would be good practice for the starters. Another pro. You get a chance for the third seed. At the moment, the Texans have the fourth seed, and if KC loses and the Texans win, the Texans get the third seed. And why is that important? Well, if the Texans get the third seed and they win their wild card game, they get to avoid Baltimore in the divisional round. And I feel that's like what every team is trying to avoid. If you're Buffalo, if you're, KC, Houston, whatever team is the 6th seed, you're trying to avoid Baltimore. Well, the 6th seed team can't avoid Baltimore no matter what. If they somehow find a way to win, they go play Baltimore. So if you're Buffalo, Houston, or KC, you're trying to avoid Baltimore until the conference championship game. Now, the next thing, it puts different stuff on film. So, once you put film out there, coaches are definitely going to look at it and they're going to prepare for that. For example, last year, going into the playoffs, week 17, Bill O'Brien started calling run plays with Deshaun Watson, so the Colts would have to prepare for that. Earlier in the year, technically last month, November, whenever the Texans brought back Jordan Thomas versus Indianapolis, the Texans used a little bit of 3 tight end sets. Why? So the Patriots would see those and try to prepare for them the following week. It just gives them something else to prepare for. And, Texans could come out with that formation and use it. Or, it could just be a throwaway thing. And then Buffalo or whoever we're playing just waste their time preparing for something we're not even going to use, Next pro. If you get that 3rd seed by winning, you either play Pittsburgh, Oakland, Tennessee, either of those 3, as opposed to Buffalo. And let's be real here. Pittsburgh, we'd blow them out. Oakland, we played them earlier, we beat them, and earlier in the year they were actually better, and earlier in the year our secondary when we played them was a practice squad secondary. So if we played Oakland, we'd blow them out. Tennessee, we already know we're better than them, so we'd beat them too. And Buffalo, we're not too sure about Buffalo, man. They got one of the best defenses in the NFL, so would you rather play Pittsburgh, Oakland, Tennessee, or Buffalo? To me, it's clear, I'd rather take the first 3, either of the first 3 instead of Buffalo. And now for the cons. Playing your starters. Players can get injured. That's the only one, in my opinion. And honestly, that's huge. Because, what if, God forbid, Deshaun Watson gets hurt? God forbid, D-Hop gets hurt. You don't want that. McKinney gets hurt. He's just coming back from a concussion. Zach Cunningham, who's been playing good. DJ Reader. What if one of those players gets hurt in a game that you really didn't have to play? That would really, really, really suck. And in my opinion, injuries kind of beat out all the pros. As good as all these things sound, 3rd seed, avoiding Baltimore, putting stuff on film, playing an easy team in the first round. As great as that might sound, I don't want to risk a starter getting hurt, a key player getting hurt. That's just me, though. Now, for sitting the starters out, here are the pros. 1, it lets the players rest. It's a long season. Players have been taking hits. Their bodies have been taking a beating. They get a game off. And, they get an extra week to get their bodies right for the playoffs. Number 2, avoids injuries. Like I said, you kind of want to go into the playoffs healthy. Last year, we didn't go into the playoffs healthy. Our whole wide receiver group was beat down. D-Hop was on one leg and one arm. Will Fuller was on IR, and then the guy we brought in to replace Will Fuller, Demaryius Thomas, was also on IR. So, yeah, I think avoiding injuries is huge. And then the next thing, it gives the Texans one extra week to prepare for Buffalo. Why? Well, if the Texans were to go into this game knowing that they're going to play their backups and not play to win, then that means the Texans have had a whole other week to prepare for Buffalo. And Buffalo doesn't get that luxury. Why? Even though Buffalo is locked into the 5th seed, they still don't know, is KC going to lose? Is Houston going to win? So Buffalo can't prepare for Houston because there's still a chance that they could be playing KC in the wild card round. But Houston, they can prepare for Buffalo because Houston knows, regardless of the outcome of the KC game, they know if they're going to play this game to win or just to, get by. So the Texans do have a whole other week to prepare for Buffalo if they do choose to sit their starters. Assuming that the decision was made a while ago. And believe me, I have seen Bill O'Brien say, we're playing to win. Now, every single coach is going to say that, so take it with a grain of salt. One, that's just coaching talk. Every coach says we're playing to win. So obviously you knew Bill O'Brien was going to go out there and say, we're playing this game to win. And then two, he just said we're playing to win. They could very well be playing to win, but they could be playing to win with a backup quarterback and backup players. So like I said, take that with a grain of salt. Don't believe everything. And now for the cons of sitting the players. If you sit the players, you already know. The Titans are going to win, and then Titans fans are going to go over here and think they actually beat us. They're going to think they're a good team and all that other BS. So you already know. Titans fans are going to be talking mess. Even though we went up to Tennessee and, beat them. But even if we play our backups, Titans fans don't care. They're still going to say, oh, we beat y'all. We're better, Hook. We beat your backups, but that don't matter. We're still better. That's just how Titans fans are. Most of them, at least. So that's going to be pretty annoying. Con number 2. Personally, 11-5 looks way sexier than 10-6. Let's just be real. Just look at the record. Imagine 11-5, and then imagine 10-6. 11-5, so much better looking. 10-6, it's okay, but 11-5, much sexier. Not only that, if we're talking about records, Tennessee, 9-7, 8-8. That's hilarious because that means they went 9-7 3 years in a row just to regress to 8-8. That'd be pretty hilarious. So, yeah. Now, here's an argument I've heard, and I don't necessarily agree with this one, but some people are saying if we rest our starters against Tennessee, the players could come out rusty against Buffalo. And the reason they're using that, excuse or reasoning is because, we had the bye week. We were playing well. We, beat Jacksonville. We had the bye week and then got blown out by the Ravens. But the reason why I don't think this is a legitimate reason to be scared of, playing our backups in this game is because this is not, it wouldn't be a regular bye week. Because NFL teams, when they have a bye week, most of the time, the coaches give the players a whole week off, and the players are free to do whatever they want. They can go to Cancun. They can, go on vacation. They can stay at home and binge watch Netflix and eat ice cream. They can do whatever they want. But this week, the Texans already practiced this week. Well, besides Christmas. By the way, Merry Christmas, guys. But the players practice this week, so it wouldn't really be like a bye week, like an actual bye week. The players just wouldn't have to play a game on Sunday. So I don't agree with the whole players would be rusty argument. I don't agree with it. Now, here's the big con. It could mean that the Texans play Baltimore in round 2. Like I just said, everyone's trying to avoid Baltimore until the very last second because Baltimore is on fire. But if the Texans sit their starters, end up as the 4th seed, beat Buffalo, they could be playing Baltimore in the divisional round. And, I would much rather play them in the conference championship than the divisional round, But if the Texans do choose to lose this game, it could mean Baltimore in the second round. But I'm not going to guarantee it either, because if the Texans rest their starters, that means Tennessee wins. Tennessee plays KC in round 1, and there's a very good chance Tennessee beats KC. So I'm just saying there's a chance the Texans play Baltimore in round 2. I said there's like about a 50-50 chance the Texans play them in round 2, depending on the outcome of our game and outcome of the KC and Tennessee game. And let me just say this before I end the video off. If Kansas City wins and the Texans play their starters, Bill O'Brien is dumb AF. There should be no reason why the Texans should play their starters if KC wins their game against the Chargers. Absolutely no excuse in my opinion. And if someone ends up getting hurt, assuming that KC wins their game, O'Brien plays his starters, and someone ends up getting hurt, I think you fire Bill O'Brien on the spot, man. Because we cannot be playing around with those little injury things. Like, we can't. We saw Deshaun last week limping around. He has a messed up ankle or something. There's something wrong with him. I think Deshaun deserves a week off. He deserves a week off, man. The whole team deserves a week off. Trying to get into the playoffs healthy. And like I said earlier, in my opinion, health is very important going into the playoffs. So that's why I think the Texans, regardless of the outcome of the KC game, they should rest their starters. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you guys for today. Comment down below your own opinions on this whole resting starters, playing starters thing. And yeah, be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.